Good morning, friends. First of all, I would like to thank the Afro-Asia Institute for inviting me. And in particular, also, I would like to thank Professor Abdul Wahab that we gathered in Nairobi to discuss the Horn of Africa in general and the world situation in particular. The theme I was given to speak is what's happening in Ethiopia, why Ethiopia is in such a difficult situation today, and why the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Dr. Abiy, he is going or squandering the goodwill which existed in the Horn of Africa. I will go a little bit into history, recent history of that country, which I was also a witness and a member. In 1991, there was a change in Ethiopia. The military regime of Mengistu Haile Mariam have been defeated, and a new situation have developed. My understanding was by 1991, all Ethiopian political forces and even prominent individuals will come to Ethiopia, to their country, will write a charter which brings Ethiopia's future political, social, and economic program. My understanding was, and I hoped, that my country, Ethiopia, will have a long transitional government without excluding anybody. First, it will be a confidence building among the Ethiopians themselves, to know each other, to have a very long debate and discussion among themselves. And finally, they could have charted a new way for their country, write a new constitution, and then establish a democratic state whereby all its citizens, they could be equal as an individual and as groups. But unfortunate is greediness of the TPLF, because they were the only one better organized and armed, have refused, and they wanted to grab the power alone. They shortened the transitional government, and they created their own program and imposed it on the others. Unfortunately, this small minority clique have ruled Ethiopia for 27 years, and instead of being a factor of stability in the Horn of Africa, it turned as an agent of destabilization of the region and intervening in the Somali situation. Our understanding was our brother Somalis, they should be given a chance to discuss among themselves, whatever the time it takes, and they come with their own program of reconciliation and rebuild Somalia again. But the TPLF, being greedy, grabbing the power, and allying with external forces who are very far away from our region, they continued divide and rule and destabilization of Somalia for very long, and finally invaded it and went until Mogadishu, killed 16,000 Somali citizens, and finally they were defeated and overthrown. By 2018, when the popular revolt between 2014 until 2018 happened in Ethiopia, most of Ethiopians and almost all Ethiopians hoped again a new start will start in Ethiopia, whereby all the forces will participate. My idea was to establish a transitional government for a very long time to heal the wounds which has happened in that country, to build a very strong confidence among the political actors and the people, and gradually to establish a democratic state. Again, it was also that situation didn't succeed, and the TPLF, which have ruled Ethiopia for 27 years, it withdrew from Addis Ababa and it went to its region and started mobilizing, because that it is the system which was created under them. The army belonged to them. 80% of the generals, they were from TPLF, from Tigray. 60% of colonel and lieutenant colonels came from there. 50% of the fighting force from major down, they were from Tigray. Once the change came, TPLF instead understanding the change and start a new path, they removed themselves tactically and they went to their bases. For more than 2 years, they were mobilizing, and their understanding is, and they made their own studies and debate when you look at it. There is no army in Ethiopia and there is no security in Ethiopia, because the 100,000 security which was created by TPLF was 35% of them in the middle and the higher ranking. They came also from Tigray. When they withdrew, they considered it a tactical withdrawal, organized in Tigray, mobilize the population of Tigray, and finally make an offensive toward Addis Ababa and overthrow the government there and come back into power. Probably at that moment their analysis on the ground was correct, because Ethiopia didn't have an army. That army belonged to the TPLF. The only army which was solid, and it was stationed in Tigray, which they constitute 30,000, 32,000, well-armed one. That army, they surround it. 10,000 of them are from Tigray, and the remaining is from other Ethiopian nationalities. The understanding of the TPLF is in the beginning to confuse and to convince these army officers and soldiers to join them in their march toward Addis Ababa. Finally, they surrounded the army. They told them to put their guns down. And about 8,000 of them who have refused, they ran away without shoes, without clothes, without any support. And finally, they ran to Eritrea, and Eritrea supported them, gave them food and dress and everything. And Dr. Abiy, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, he came running with 2-3 generals and asked the Eritrean government to support him. The TPLF analysis on Ethiopia, how and the strengths of the Ethiopia and the government of Dr. Abiy was correct. But their major mistake is their analysis on Eritrea was incorrect. Finally, the TPLF decided to wage 2 wars simultaneously. They have sent about 100 missiles toward Eritrea, and they invited Eritrea to join in a war. And a few months, within a month, 80% their army was decimated. Dr. Abiy, it is not his choice to go to war. For that I can understand him. But in 2018 he signed with all Ethiopian opposition parties, including the armed one, the OLF, the Oromo Liberation Front, the Ogaden Liberation Front, the Amhara, all others, and all of them came back home. I thought, and as I have said in the interview when I was in Addis Ababa, it was a golden chance was for Dr. Abiy, first being as an Oromo organization. His organization is called Oromo Democratic Organization. And there is also 2 other Oromo organizations, the Oromo Federalist and the OLF. I advised him, I said, first deal and discuss with your Oromo brothers, despite of the different political parties, and discuss long and build a confidence building and then come with a minimum program. He didn't do that. He opted the same like the TPLF in 1991 to dominate everything and to grab the power. The major mistake is started there. Finally, he started to divide the people, and particularly this organization who have entered the Oromos. The first victims of him in the beginning, they were the Oromos. A lot of Oromos have been arrested. And the Oromo Liberation Front, finally, the young people, they saw that the danger is coming from them. They went to the field and they are armed, and now today they are controlling big part of the Oromo region. The Oromo region is divided by 21 provinces. 18 provinces is no more in the hand of Dr. Abiy. He controls only 3 regions. Probably the 3 regions of the Oromo regions also, he have no absolute control. And finally, he became a mayor of Addis Ababa. The second mistake of him, that the Amhara people, because 27 years being dominated by the TPLF, and the organization the TPLF created for the Amharas was rejected by the Amhara population in general, and they have allied with him, which is, they call themselves Fano, that they allied with him to fight against the TPLF. Immediately after the agreement in South Africa, Johannesburg, and then with the meeting in Nairobi, he demolished that agreement and turned against the Amhara forces, and he considered the Amharas are dangerous, and he wanted to disarm them. Now is more than 7 months. In the Amhara region, there is a rebellion of Amhara rebellion, which is controlling almost all part of the country. He energized and created a fear among the Amharas that there is a conspiracy that Oromos wanted to control them and to divide them, and at the same time to weaken the Amharas. In the Amhara region already there was a grievances for the last 27 years, and the party which is now associated with Dr. Abiy was considered by Amhara masses as an agent of the center, yesterday for TPLF and now for Prosperity Party of Dr. Abiy. And this rebellion now is continuing and is increasing day by day. A lot of the young people have joined it. Now they are starting even liberating towns and cities. And this situation that it is the whole Amhara region is out of his hand, including the Oromo region. Tigray, of course, is after it is defeated with TPLF mistakes. And now the situation in Tigray, it is the people of Tigray, now they are facing famine, and they brought the situation to disaster, and the people of Tigray now is in the situation pre-1975. When you calculate Tigray and Amhara and Oromo region, is almost 70% of the country is out of his hand. Dr. Abiy, when he came to power, he was the most popular prime minister, and he was supported by everybody, including me. And we made a united front with him when the TPLF started his war of aggression to go and to overthrow him. But Dr. Abiy, I think his memory is very short, and he doesn't know how to sort out the contradiction, and always wants to live with contradiction, which brought him now in a very bad situation. While his situation is like that, now started also another journey, which he wants to have a harbor or a port in Somaliland, and this is unacceptable by the Somali people. He ignited the Somali nationalism. He is disturbing the whole region, and instead of becoming a peace factor, he became a war and destabilizing factor. I don't think Dr. Abiy will survive a very long time. He is living now with borrowed time. We thought that, and when we support him, we are going to build a good neighborhood in the region whereby all of us, we can work together and we can build together. But he shattered everything, and he brought the situation to a very antagonistic situation. As far as the economy of Ethiopia concerned, majority of the population is marginalized. Most of the young people have no hope to get a job, to establish family, to support their families and so on. Ethiopia have reached of the level of poverty you can't imagine. The inflation of the Ethiopian birr or currency, it is skyrocketing. The bureaucracy is collapsing. And he, by divide and rule ideology, which inherited from the past regime, he had weakened the Ethiopian state and he had weakened the Ethiopian population, and today he have lost almost all the popularity and he is in a negative situation. To conclude the situation in Ethiopia today, Ethiopia is under volcanic situation. Volcanoes are erupting there and there, and he ignites this volcano. Probably that it is the country is in the verge of collapse. The economic situation is a very bad situation, and the ethnic conflict and hate among the different ethnic groups is increasing. I'm afraid as an Ethiopian that these contradictions and this volcano which is erupting can bring a very big disaster to the population of Ethiopia in specific, and it can bring also destabilization in the greater Horn of Africa. I appeal for my brothers and sisters Ethiopians to think thoroughly and to save the people of Ethiopia and Ethiopia, at the same time cooperate with their brothers in the Horn of Africa to create a new condition of neighborhood and to establish a new relationship based on equality, basis of mutual understanding, basis with independence and freedom of the peoples of the region. I think Dr. Abiy, he have finished his time. He might incite conflict between Amharas and Oromos. Above all, the first victim in this situation will be the Oromo people. Our Oromo brothers who have suffered for a very long time. I was born in Addis. I knew a lot of Oromos, a lot of honest and decent Oromo people who have struggled for their democratic right. He have also shattered it and created out of it a monster. On the other side, the Amhara brothers who are also refused to live as before. And they are saying that we have to be equal in this country. We have to start a new chapter, not based on an ethnic, narrow nationalism. We have to be beyond, and that equality in that country have to be guaranteed on a mutual respect and a mutual understanding. Dr. Abiy, by waging war in Amhara region, he have shortened his life and he have created a serious contradictions. Therefore, this big country, which have a serious economic problem, majority of its population is younger than 45, who have no hope to live, and he is igniting a civil war among the Ethiopian people, and I'm a bit afraid that he's inciting a genocide in that country. Therefore, all patriotic Ethiopians and all democratic forces in the region, they have to think and study properly what is going to come, and we have to keep this system at bay and bring a confidence building among all actors in the region and try to build in speaking term all forces. And I hope that this Afro-Asia think tank, which is led by Dr. Abdul Wahab, will bring different intellectuals and scholars from different parts of Africa, and also from different parts of the world, and in specific also from different parts of the Horn of Africa. I hope that it is this beginning. We will continue to struggle, and I will appeal to all parties to contact the new think tank, the Afro-Asia think tank, which is established by Dr. Abdul Wahab, and we will consult with him and with all other friends of us to build a bridge between all each Horn of Africa people, because our contradiction, it is a minimum contradiction. There is no geographical change among us. The enemy from far who is trying to divide us, to use us, to create an antagonistic enmity among us, this we have to be very clever. There is no geographical change happened among us, and we have to discuss very seriously, and we have to call a cat a cat. The Horn of Africa have suffered for a very long time, and the population of Horn of Africa had also suffered. The intervention, external intervention, very far away from our region, who doesn't care about our life. They use divide and rule strategy to weaken us, to divide us, to create an antagonistic enmity among us. We have to rise up beyond that, and we have to come together and discuss frankly, honestly, on the basis of fraternal brotherhood. I think Dr. Abiy misses, because of all the Horn of Africa people gave him a confidence when he came to power. I have never seen an Ethiopian prime minister who is so popular as him, and in a very few years he squandered it, and now he is beyond negative. He is the most hated person in that country. The other part is he is not working neither for Ethiopian people nor for the region. He is in service of external force who are very far away from us. He have never learned from the previous regime, TPLF. He have never learned what the TPLF leadership did on the people of Tigray and where it had brought them. He could read little bit and see the situation of the people of Tigray today. It could have been for him a good example to correct his line and to come in a good term. Now we have even crossed and ignited Somali nationalism by transaggression and trying to. I don't think he had the possibility to build a harbor or port in Somalia. It is somebody's project. He's adapted it, and he have created a contradiction between Somali people and himself. I appeal to my brother Somalis. They have to be very calm and study what is happening and what is this Prosperity Oromo Party. It is a fundamentalist Christian party which have no relationship or organic relationship with the Oromo people. I appeal to brothers and sisters of Oromos to come out from and condemn this and forge a relationship with all the people in the region in order to establish a good neighborhood, brotherhood, and we can work together and we can elevate the life of the population in Ethiopia and by far also on the region. I am not thinking in terms of ethnic nationalism. Ethnic nationalism have no ultimate solution to the region. Yes, in Ethiopia, the nationality question had been a very important question. But the ethnic nationalist parties also who have taken power in Ethiopia, they use this contradiction in order to keep their power in a divide and rule thinking. And this is very wrong. Ethiopians have to learn from their own recent history, and I hope that we continue our debate, we will continue our dialogue among ourselves, and we raise the consciousness of the young people who are the majority, more than 70% of the population in the Horn of Africa. In conclusion, I think the think tank which is established in Nairobi, the Afro-Asian think tank, and specific Dr. Abdul Wahab for inviting me, and thank you very much, and let's continue the debate.